welcome to TMZ Live. There was something very interesting that happened at the Chiefs game yesterday, and it has to do with Taylor Swift, even though we don't see Taylor Swift.
It's all about Taylor Swift, who has become, as you know, a staple at Kansas City when the Chiefs are playing. But this was their first home game of the year, so you certainly expected Taylor to be there. And by the way, Travis did figure very prominently in the game.
Not in a great way.
Not in a great way. We'll get to that. But her entrance to these games has kind of become a thing where she walks in and waves to everyone, is very friendly, and
then they show her multiple
outfits, and then during the game,
they show her multiple times during the game. None of it.
Did not see her once on the broadcast. Now, we did have some video that we believe is her entrance, and everyone saw this and immediately started having all sorts of conspiracy theories as to why she was not presenting herself the same way, that she was hiding. Here is the video, and then we're going to explain
what this is.
But you
so
see,
you're going to see this rolling
this wall,
and we cannot say absolutely positively it's Taylor Swift,
right?
But the dots seem to be connecting here,
right?
And all of her team is just radio silent. So the question: if Taylor Swift, and I think it's a fair assumption given what we're seeing here, that it's in Kansas City and all of this, if it is Taylor Swift, why would she hide herself?
Right, why are you hiding now when everyone knows you go to the games and you've been happy to celebrate being at the games?
So check this out.
The answer is in that wall, the actual wall there.
So check this out. This is an advertisement for a bullet-resistant portable shield partition, sold for $6,000. And it's
on wheels.
It looks
has the handles, just like you see in the video.
It looks exactly like that.
Yeah. And that would lead you to believe that this is all about a security concern, or just not. Maybe it's not a concern. It doesn't mean that there was a specific threat.
There may or may not have been. There may or may not have been.
Right. But just that they wanted to be cautious. And
in the wake of the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Right.
And by the way,
you understand,
she's not alone, and we're going to get into that a little bit later, but it has really had an impact, not just on politics, obviously, it goes way beyond.
On every aspect of public life.
She talked about this, by the way. This is not a new thing for her. She was on Sunday Morning, the CBS show, several years ago, and she talked about something that was a fact of life and really chilling.
Where is home for you now?
It's a very good question. I try not to ever really say where I am the most because since all my addresses are on the internet, people tend to show up uninvited. Like, dudes that think we have an imaginary marriage.
You mentioned that you keep wound dressing with you?
Yeah, I've had a lot of stalkers show up to the house armed. So we have to think that way.
That's really, God, when you hear it, it's just chilling.
So this has been a thing that she's always been aware of, concerned about, and after what, unfortunately, we all witnessed last week, there's no way she could not be thinking about that.
Right.
It is also interesting that, as we said, they always, this has been a big thing talked about in the sports world, that, they keep cutting to Taylor during the game. They didn't show her once during the broadcast.
Not one time.
And there were plenty of plays where Travis was involved, so I kept waiting for her. I was like, they're going to cut to her now. And I was like,
One play in particular.
Well, yeah. I mean, there it is at the end of the game.
This was rough.
Close to the end of the game, where if he had caught this touchdown, which would have most likely been a touchdown, but instead, drop ball turns into an interception, and Eagles win.
Still no
20-17. Yeah, still no cutaway of Taylor. So this may be just that she's decided she's going to be low profile at this point. And clearly that would mean that the league or the broadcast was on board.
I would not be at all surprised if Taylor Swift or her team went to the NFL and said, hey, I'm concerned.
Well, they had to. I mean, if she was in a box,
right,
they would have to have some arrengement beforehand to say, don't show her, because they show her every game. Multiple times.
To my knowledge, she has never been at the stadium and they have not shown her. I mean, it's repeated appearance.
And it makes sense. Again, we cannot tell you 100% Taylor was behind that screen. Everything lines up that way.
Yep.
Plus, it was in Kansas City, where they've been spending a lot of time.
Right. Huge game, rematch of the Super Bowl. It makes sense that she would have been there.
Right.
I'd be shocked if she weren't.
This is Lady T from Baltimore. That interview, chilling with Taylor Swift. I had no idea that she was going through all of that. That you could tell there's some sense of like sensitivity there in regards to the topic because it seems fresh to her. We need to protect Taylor Swift at all costs. And I hope this doesn't mean we're not going to see her at these NFL games because for me, that's one of the best parts of watching the NFL now. And they've profited a lot from her too in regards to that. So protect Taylor Swift at all costs. That is crazy.
It's really going to be interesting to know what they do going forward. Do they show her the next time?
And also, her album is coming out in a couple of weeks.
That's right.
So what does this do now for her promotional schedule?
And really, for the promotional schedule of everybody.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Well, the Emmys, I guess you could say the best laid plans of men, mice, and the Boys and Girls Club.
Mice and men.
What?
You put men ahead of mice.
I did.
No, it's mice and men.
Oh, yes, of course. All right.
Wow.
Whew. I didn't realize how petty we were going to be on a Monday.
Accuracy is important.
Real petty. Nate Bargatze, the host, the stand-up comedian, was hosting the Emmys last night. And aside from the awards, we'll talk a little bit about that, but you know who won the awards. Really, the center of this whole night, the thing
that's bigger than the awards.
Yeah, the thing that made people keep watching through all of it was this scheme that Nate came up with.
To keep speeches short.
Right.
So he sets it up at the beginning, and then we'll tell you how it went haywire.
To start the show, I am going to donate $100,000 to the Boys and Girls Club of America. So this part is hard to say. If you stay 45 seconds, it stays at $100,000. That's, all right. I know. If you go under, we will put $1,000 a second back on for the Boys and Girls Club of America.
But if they
got
go
everybody cheering
over
for
a
it.
second, they deduct $1,000. And therein lies the rub. So could people keep it to 45? The answer, no.
Now, some people did a very good job at the start of it. It's clear they were still thinking about the monologue. Here is John Oliver and his acceptance speech. He cares about the kids.
Thank you to HBO, especially Lacey and Casey and Neela. Thank you to our staff, especially Liz Stanton and Tim Carvel. Thank you to my wife, I love you very much. Thank you to our children, Hudson and Marzi. That's got to be enough.
Yeah, he kept it under. Actually, I think they ended up tacking some more money on because of John Oliver, who, by the way, has won so many times. I don't know who's left to thank. When you win as often as John Oliver and some of the other winners.
You should just say ditto.
Yeah, remember what I said last year?
But
Same thing.
a lot of people went over, and they ended up jettisoning the whole thing at minus 60,000. They still stepped up.
They stepped up in the end.
Nate gave 250,000. CBS put 100,000 in, so the Boys and Girls Club got $350,000. My beef on this is that people who got on stage can, they can thank these people personally. But for the audience at home to hear the name of an agent, a manager, a lawyer, a publicist, that they have no idea who they are, it's boring to them.
Then why do you watch it?
Say something.
Every time, every award ceremony, these people are going to get on because they want to.
No, the reason people
people
watch the award show, the general fans don't watch to know who your manager is, who your publicist is.
But you're going to get that
they
anyway.
Don't watch. They're watching because they want to know that
do.
your
Super
show.
Reals want to know
They
that
want to know
I'm
the show that they watch.
Who's watching the show?
It is a feature
They
of
want
the
to know
show.
did the TV show that they watch or that they love, did it win an award?
But you don't want to
That's all
know
they wanna
anything about the person's life who worked on that
Yeah,
TV show or for that TV show?
No.
Like you want to know more details about them. That's why you're watching.
I want to know about the person. I want that person to explain how they got from struggling actor to being on the stage. That's what I do want to hear. But when they're just saying, thank you to the publicist, thank you to the makeup artist, thank you to the stylist, thank you to the lawyer, thank you to the manager, thank you to the agent. It's like, I
Harvey, when you're only
I
given-
learned
no.
nothing
Harvey,
about that
but
person.
when you're only given 45 seconds,
Right.
then you can't. You just have to name the people.
Anakin, you want to
can't
be
go on this whole
Anakin.
blown
You want to be
story.
you want to be a screenwriter.
Yeah,
okay?
I would love to,
Okay,
yeah.
I just gave you an award for screenwriting.
Okay.
You got 45 seconds, and I'm really serious.
Sure.
Give me something meaningful.
Meaningful?
Something meaningful.
Are you starting with
Well,
Harvey?
I would know my parents would probably kill me, and you're not going to time me on this. I can't.
Dude,
do that.
No.
5
just-
seconds
no,
gone.
You're a screenwriter.
Yeah, you're right. But
Okay. So what do you think? Who do you think?
35 seconds.
I have a whole list of people.
But
that
I
would
want to
think.
see a list.
What's your point, Harvey?
Tell
You
me
are
something.
blowing it,
Okay,
man.
here's the thing.
Stop
losing my
I am okay. Here's what Anakin can say. I am a twin that was
What?
always identified as somebody who is half of something, and to be on stage
writing
as
messages.
a whole person.
20 seconds.
And having worked for
pretty
this
good time.
jackass Harvey Levin for so long, trying to be a screenwriter, and finally overcoming that.
I would not do that.
I mean,
No,
at least it's
no.
something, Anakin.
Boom,
No,
right there.
no.
And $5,000
The
goes
only
back to the
thing-
kids.
5,000 goes to the kids.
5,000 goes to
Beautiful.
well, no, I mean that thing was scuffed anyway. Like we never got to 60K.
And we
saw
knew they
the-
were going to give them
we
money
saw
at the
it
end
counting
anyways.
down.
Like, they were never not going to give them money. Like, they knew it was giving money at the end.
Hey, Patrick from Phoenix, Arizona. Wanted to talk about the Emmys last night and the disaster of the money being given away. It was really funny. I thought it was a great idea. Nate did a great job, but I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. I thought it was going to be done by the second thank you that they had to give out. It's just a really funny thing. They always go over. And you're right, Harvey. No one wants to know about the agents. Make it
You
meaningful.
get a TMZ T-shirt.
Anyone you'd like to thank as you receive that T-shirt?
Harvey Levin, that boss. Yeah.
There you go.
Coming up.
Hannah Einbinder, she won for her supporting role on Hacks, and she decided that she had a few things she was going to share with the audience and went really hard at the federal government and also Israel.
Be right back.
So on the heels of the Emmys, after award shows, people always talk about, one of the things they talk about is, did the celebrities get political? And there was a big push for a long time. People said they didn't want to watch award shows because people were getting too political. And it seems like celebs have kind of backed off of that. Last night was not one of those nights because Hacks star Hannah Einbinder, she won for her supporting role on Hacks. And she decided that she had a few things she was going to share with the audience and went really hard at the federal government and also Israel.
Jean Smart, who is like the sun, and I just get to stand in her warmth. And I also want to thank the cast and crew of Hacks. And finally, I'll pay the difference. Sorry. Finally, I just want to say, finally, go Birds. And free Palestine. Thank you.
The blank there was her saying blank ICE and free Palestine. We heard the reaction in the room, obviously did not go over very well with the folks at the Department of Homeland Security.
No, it did not.
In fact, the Assistant Secretary, Tricia McLaughlin, said, "How ugly such demonization is inspiring violence against our ICE law enforcement, who are facing a 1,000% increase in assaults against them. As this woman fans the flames of hatred, our brave law enforcement will continue enforcing the rule of law and protecting Americans."
So I just want to say something, I hope, that goes beyond politics, but goes to inflammatory speech. It is fact that ICE agents are getting attacked. And look, you can have strong views on the immigration policies of the administration, but to fan those flames, and I think that's what it does when you say something like that. You know, this is what leads to violence that we've been seeing, and I think it's wrong. I think it's just wrong.
But there's also a freedom of speech.
There is a freedom. No, there is a freedom of speech.
Beyond freedom of speech,
There is a freedom about. But there is a freedom of speech.
The anti-war protests of the 1960s led to violence against police officers and led to violence against federal law enforcement officers. Hold on for a second. you would never say that they should have been quiet.
I was part of that.
You would never suggest they should be quiet because of the reaction.
I was part of that. And it wasn't, let's attack the police. It was end the war. It was, hey, LBJ, how many people you killed today?
To be fair to Hannah, she did not say attack ICE officers.
But when you say blank ICE,
that means I don't like what they're doing.
I get it. She has a right to say it, but I think it's incendiary.
No, but she feels just as passionately about this. We can disagree with that, by the way. And maybe we can disagree that this is the forum for it. But she feels just as passionately about this as your generation felt about the war. And there was
But you're not seeing the same thing. I was there. And I'm just telling you, it wasn't get those cops. Nobody said
those
that.
Cops
but hold on,
you're the Gestapo, you're the SS.
Nobody said that.
Hold on, but you did say things about, what are you talking about? The vets, how were the vets treated?
No, that was not part of the Vietnam.
Hold on, you were protesting the war, and people were protesting the war would mistreat veterans when they came home, right?
But that wasn't part of the movement, and it was wrong. It was wrong to do that.
Her part of the movement,
and yes, that happened.
Her part of the movement, though, is not to attack ICE officers. She's challenging the institution.
Then say blank the administration. But
that's what ICE is a federal department.
These guys have a job, and
she didn't say anything about ICE agents. We got to be fair to Hannah here.
What does it mean?
I understand that the assistant secretary took it as that.
I think
that's not what she said.
When your generation
how did we get to the point we're at right now? And it's like, this is not that one side or the other is causing what we saw last week. It's both sides. And I think you got to own up to the fact that it's not,
I agree
the people on the left are saying it's the right. People on the right saying it's the left.
I agree with you that both sides have said incendiary things and have raised the temperature. But you still have to be able to speak out about policy.
You can.
And that's what I heard her saying, is that she disagrees with the policy that ICE is enacting.
She has an absolute right to say it, and I'm just saying I have a problem with it.
You have a problem with her saying
I have a problem
that I disagree with ICE policy?
I have a problem because I think it's interpreted as saying, go after these agents are getting attacked.
That's awful.
Yes, that is true, and that is awful, but that's not what Hannah said.
When you say blank ICE, you think of the agents.
So if she just said it without profanity?
If she said down with ICE, would that have been okay?
It's fine.
Well, that could be taken as that you agree with ICE.
ICE bad?
Depending on what neighborhood you're in.
Missing my point. Has a right to say it.
No, we're not missing your point.
But look at 1,000% increase
in
violence.
You wish she wouldn't have said it because it might lead other people to conduct.
It's also the Emmys, guys.
Well, that we can all agree on.
My name's Melissa Gorecki. I'm from Long Island, New York. And I just want to say, when you can do anything in this world, you should do it with love. And her comment included. In times like this, when everybody's showing up in the world and it's so turbulent, like showing up in love, it's always the right move. Always the right move, and it's always a choice. Saying ICE and all this, like saying that out loud, you're gonna see more of that. Let's talk about what the solution is. How do we move forward, like with love?
Boy, does that seem like an impossible dream.
Charlie Kirk's assassination continues to affect every corner of life here in America. And this weekend, we saw it on display in the sports world in several different leagues and different ways. But there were very many mentions.
And not just leagues, beyond leagues. UFC.
Yeah, UFC, NFL. Obviously, Charlie's hometown in Phoenix. The Arizona Cardinals had a moment of silence.
Most of the NFL did it. Most of them did.
Most of the NFL did in some way. But also, like you said, in the UFC, which is interesting because we know that Dana White, the president of the UFC, had a very close relationship with Charlie Kirk. So they went out of their way to mention and honor the thing that, yes, everyone were at these games, but it's still something that people are thinking about, even if they're being distracted. I think, thankfully, by sports for a while. It's still on their minds.
I don't think it's even in the recesses of their mind. I think it's in the front of everybody's mind.
And even if you're at a large public gathering like that,
you think about it
even more in your mind.
You absolutely think about it. And, I think, I know it's funny you say it that way, that sports is a diversion. It is to an extent, but it's not one of those things people are forgetting. This is this is.
And I agree, it's probably more of a
shaking the
diversion if you're just
country.
watching on TV, but if you're in a large crowd, I don't know how it is not on your mind.
Cumulatively, you know, beyond just everything that's been going on over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I'm Sean calling from Delaware. I think it's crazy to honor Charlie during a sports events. Charlie Kirk had nothing to do with sports. But with that being said, I do think that this is America. We need to look at this situation not from the left or the right. We need to look at this like this is America. We need to be united, because the more we are united, the better we are. The more we divide, the more we project more hate.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. And now the question, how does that happen? How does that happen?
I think we need to start talking more. And we also need to talk about facts instead of just random opinions. I think that would help us out a little bit more. Like if we sat down and talk about, hey, like, I agree with the left on this, or I agree with the right on this, instead of like making everybody sound like a bad guy.
Yeah, that's the tricky part in what he said there is we need to talk about facts, because more and more what facts are is now up for debate.
Coming up.
Big week for Cardi B because she is releasing her album finally, and she is out on the streets.
She's
hitting the streets.
Hawking her wares on the streets of New York.
Quite literally, almost hitting the streets in New York City, twerking on top of cars.
Be right back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
BB Rexa was looking hot on vacation.
Look at the water, too. Did you just say look at the water?
I mean, I'll be honest, that is what I was looking at. Big week for Cardi B because she is releasing her album finally, her sophomore album after many, many years. Am I the Drama? And she is out on the streets.
She's
hitting the streets.
Hawking her wares on the streets of New York.
Quite literally, almost hitting the streets in New York City, twerking on top of cars, drawing lots and lots of fans.
Selling albums on the street corners.
Yeah, she's doing whatever she can to get the word out there that her album is dropping later this week on, is it Thursday or Friday?
Friday.
What day is it? Friday?
So word on the street is that it will be number one. The thing that, look.
Wow,
okay, there is a thing.
Let me step aside. There's clearly something you're going to say that.
I didn't know this until our morning meeting today, but there are like 5 songs on it that she's already released.
Oh, gosh.
And
yes,
they
because
count the sales of all those individual songs in the album. So the album will go platinum immediately.
I don't know if it'll go platinum, right? It'll definitely be gold.
It'll definitely be gold.
But I don't understand why they count things that had nothing to do with the album if
well, that's not true, because it was originally released for the album. Her album just happened to be delayed.
By years.
Yeah.
By years.
But
and also, when she made those singles, did she know that those singles were going to go on an album eventually?
Yeah.
Because she didn't even know when the album was going to be
right.
If there was going to be an album.
No. When Megan Thee Stallion came out and they were grinding on MTV and everything, like that was supposed to be part of her.
I didn't need to see you doing that.
That was supposed to be part of her album.
So wait a minute.
And it just got delayed. She's had babies. She's had marital problems.
But what did she have with her hit song, which we're not allowed to say on broadcast?
Can't say those 3 letters.
Didn't she get a gold record for the single?
It went diamond.
I think it would. Yeah.
It went diamond.
Okay,
It's one of the
so it
biggest
goes
rap songs
diamond.
ever.
So she's gotten the credit for that song, and to say we're going to use that number and superimpose it onto an album.
But that song has no album credit. That particular song has no album credit.
But how do you get? So all you have to do is have a hit single, and then whatever you do, just throw it on the
What's the
album.
difference between a soundtrack?
Put together a whole album.
People do it on soundtracks all the time. They have a hit song on a soundtrack, and next thing you know, it appears on their album.
I listen, this is not against Cardi B. It's just I didn't know that they did this.
You raging against the recording industry?
Well, yeah. Well, streaming makes up its own rules as it goes on. You know, we're seeing different rules for the charts like every quarter.
This never happened with the Beatles.
Oh,
no, not at all.
Here we go.
My name is Jose from Riverside, California, and I think that it is really insane, first and foremost, that Cardi B was on that car, twerking it out, risking her own life, in front of a bunch of people. Like, I am so glad that she did not get hurt and that she did not fall.
Come on, she's a very experienced twerker.
Yeah,
if there's one thing she can do without injury.
She's like, relax.
Definitely twerking.
I'm a professional.
Coming up.
The members of Congress are facing an election year next year. And now, in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, it has a lot of them thinking about security, about safety. So joining us right now to talk about what campaign season looks like is Congressman from Virginia, Congressman Suha Subramaniam. Congressman, welcome to TMZ Live.
Be right back.
Welcome back to TMZ Live. The members of Congress, the House of Representatives, are facing an election year next year. And now, in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, it has a lot of them thinking about security, about safety. And there's a conversation about increasing security and what that's going to cost.
And pulling back on venues like outdoor venues where we've seen horrific things happen.
Right. So joining us right now to talk about what campaign season looks like is Congressman from Virginia, Congressman Suha Subramaniam. Congressman, welcome to TMZ Live.
Thank you.
So my intel here is that behind the scenes, everybody in that building you're in is talking about this, worrying about it. So kind of give us the temperature of what people are saying and feeling.
I mean, we were already worried about it. Talk about the attempt on the president's life last year, Nancy Pelosi's husband being attacked and almost killed, the two lawmakers over the summer in Minnesota being shot, right? And so this is already an issue. We've been talking about it in our leadership meetings and our caucus meetings, even several weeks before this. And so, now we see this happen, and now we're on really high alert. And my office actually got a threat as well. I mean, someone threatened to come to our office with a firearm, and we all get these types of threats, but we have to take them very seriously now, and we have to take security seriously. The last thing I want is to go to a political rally and then have the people around me be scared that I'm there, right? That's the worst thing imaginable for me. So we're taking a lot of steps now to try to make our events safe and to make sure that people don't have to see something like what happened to Charlie Kirk again.
Congressman, you just mentioned the threat to your office. That was before Charlie Kirk's assassination, correct?
That was before, yeah. It was several weeks ago.
So I always wonder, and obviously we've heard of our political leaders getting these threats. I'm curious what it does for your home life and what your family says, even before Charlie Kirk, but certainly after Charlie Kirk, what your family members say to you, because we've been talking about whether or not people would even consider running for office now with things being the way they are in this country.
Yeah, it's a good question. I know when we got the threat, we did a threat assessment. We had Capitol Police investigate it. And then I filed a protective order to protect my family and protect our office. And it took a couple of weeks. But my mother was very angry because it took so long. She called me and told me, you should be acting sooner. You should not take any chances with this person out on the loose. So it's the family wants my safety. They want to obviously feel safe themselves. And I've got two little kids. They're 5 and 3, both girls. And I want to make sure they're safe too, and home and at school and other places too. So it certainly weighs on us. That's why we need to keep these events safe, is so we're not discouraging people from taking on this job. Certainly we need what we signed up for, but it's not easy.
I saw late last week a member of Congress talking about how his kids were pleading with him not to run for re-election. I'm wondering if you're hearing that from other members, whether people are kind of reassessing whether it's worth it to run again, and whether that's going to be a big issue, really, for all sorts of reasons next year.
Yeah, my kids are a little young, but I know many members have voiced concerns. I've heard from many members who are saying now, they're going to come to hearings to say what they need to say and listen to what they need to listen to, but they don't want to be out in the public longer than they have to. I've heard other members say that they're not going to do events in certain locations anymore, nothing with stages in an unsecure event space, nothing outdoors where there might be rooftops around. So, this does feel a little different.
But what about just not running again? Because that's what, it really struck me that these kids were pleading with their dad, please don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them. I think in the end, our families, they care more about our safety than us, running for re-election or being in the public spotlight. That's all they want for us. My kids want their dad, right? They don't care about the congressional stuff. And so I totally understand that. And it's something that, certainly weighs on all of us.
So going forward, obviously you talked about the changes you can do with venues, but what about actually increasing personal security? And what are the conversations in Congress as far as funding that? It's at this moment, it seems like you'd be hard pressed to find someone who'd say, my Congress, representative doesn't deserve more protection, because it just feels like such a dangerous job at this point.
Yeah, after the Minnesota lawmakers were shot, we were discussing what we could do, and we convinced leadership on both sides to do a pilot program where we would have security at public events. It was not a lot of money, but enough to do security at major events. And many lawmakers weren't sure how to use it, whether to use it. And then, some of this started happening. We started using it more when we got the threat to our office. And now I think pretty much every member has used it. I used it over the weekend. I did 7 events on Saturday. At every single event, I had security with me. And I had many people come up to me during those events and say they were grateful that security was there because they felt safer that I was there. And so, again, I don't want to go to an event and make people around me feel unsafe because I'm there, right? And so I think we're going to continue that program. I'd like to see that pilot program be permanent. And I'd like to make sure that this isn't going to dissuade people from running for office, from being in Congress, and certainly not dissuade people from coming to our events and engaging in the political process.
And then finally, will you do outdoor events when you run for re-election next year?
Yes, absolutely. In the end, I feel like it's part of my job to be out where people are, to meet people where they are. And I need to go outside to do that, frankly. And so in the end, there's only so much we can do. We're going to have security at events. We're going to try to do everything we can to make them safe. And then, there's another project about trying to tone down the rhetoric and trying to figure out, what's going on online and whether we can help nip things in the bud, right? But I feel like I have to continue to do events because it's my job.
Okay, Congressman, we so appreciate
Thank you for the time.
Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Got to say, the foundation of democracy is this ability to have these town squares and exchange of ideas. And
if you lose that, it's absolutely not democracy.
Yeah.
So more important than ever that we have people who are willing to run, and even when the risk to their own personal safety.
Yeah.
Coming up.
Well, Bill Belichick and his girlfriend Jordan Hudson still drawing lots of attention at the University of North Carolina football games, where he is now coaching.
She is so leaning into this. It's crazy.
Be right back.
Well, Bill Belichick and his girlfriend Jordan Hudson still drawing lots of attention at the University of North Carolina football games, where he is now coaching.
She is so leaning into this. It's crazy.
Yes. I mean, there is, if you thought that maybe she was going to kind of stay out of the spotlight because of all the controversy before the season started, no. She is staying there front and center and drawing more attention to herself because she's very clearly taking a page out of the Taylor Swift playbook. And not even, unashamedly.
She's literally, it's on her chest.
Yeah, so
yes.
First to point out, you guys, she was wearing this sweater which, if you know, do you guys know Look What You Made Me Do, the music video?
Of course.
Actually,
it was Taylor
yes.
Swift's music video. Reputation was a really big album for her. So in that music video, Taylor Swift wore this Gucci sweater, which said "Blind for Love"
At the bottom of the sweater.
So seems to be some kind of nod to like her relationship with Bill Belichick. Obviously, she's only like 24 years old. People don't like her being with him. I personally love her.
But wait a minute, but Blind for Love, that's the point is that that's in the Taylor Swift video, right?
Yes, Taylor wore that same sweater,
Right,
and then here she's wearing it. So she's, like Charles said, taking a page out of her book. But also, there's like Easter eggs, which I thought that was only Taylor's thing. But so you know when like girls go into some kind of game, you have to have like a clear bag. So that's understandable. She had a clear bag, but inside of the bag were some legal documents, and there's like
Are they
even
actual
little thing
legal
like
documents?
tear-outs. And things are highlighted, like fraud is highlighted, deceptive business.
I do know there's been there's a dispute going on between Bill Belichick and the Patriots.
Yeah.
And
Some
they've
people
been going
think,
back and forth, so maybe that's what she's referring to, but...
Or it could just be coming after the haters. She's been leaning into the fact that people think she's like a gold digger. Remember, she came out with like a jewelry line, literally called Gold Digger.
Yeah, but if you're being called a gold digger, you don't want to highlight the word fraud.
Yeah, true.
Sorry, that was
but
a
she's leaning into
big
what people are
mistake
saying
if that's what
about
happened
her.
here.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Anthony, aka Rari, here out of Miami, Florida, and whatever it was, Jordan Hudson rocking that Blind for Love sweater on the sideline next to Bill definitely got people talking, and it surely blurred the lines between fashion and hidden meanings. And whether it was just a fashion statement or a message, either way, she definitely shifted effortlessly the attention off the field. And I mean, it's kind of romantic when you really think about it.
Well, they won, though. UNC won.
Yeah, I mean, they shifted the attention off the field, but now they're actually winning. You needed that when,
You wanted
when
the
they
attention.
lost.
Yeah, you should.
Now
Exactly.
they're beating, cupcake teams.
Okay, every weekend we put polls up at the website. We want to see how you feel about things that happened last week. Last week was a bad one.
Yeah.
And here are the